This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Break the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Monday night, and y'all know what that means. We are live here on the Break the Bell Podcast.
Hello, beautiful bell breakers. Good to be here.
It is. It is good to be here, and it's good to be talking about fun-filled things such as more freaking classified document leaks and all that shit.
Who would have thought that we would be in the age of classified documents?
Yeah, I mean, the top secret laptop
Right.
leaks, and then leaked secret documents. I mean, we have the Anthony Weiner laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop, the Hillary Clinton email probe, then the Mar-a-Lago raid for the classified documents, and then just within months later, here's these Biden classified, not just any old classified. We're talking top secret documents. And I don't know if you know much about classified documents, but top secret's like the top. It's called top secret because it's more secret than the secret documents.
Yes.
There's normal secret, and then there's top secret, and it's the top. It's the worst, or the best, or the most, or whatever.
Yes, the
so
most.
when they're found all willy-nilly throughout somebody's home or office, then people get a little up in arms about it.
Well, I mean, I thought it was like government. As long as it's with your Corvette, it's okay.
As long as it's locked in a garage with the Corvette.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
obviously a Corvette's not going to be left on the streets or
Exactly.
anything.
That's top security right there.
Yeah, I mean, if you broke into Joe Biden's garage and you saw his 67 Stingray in there, what would you do? Go for the classified documents or the Stingray?
Definitely the Stingray.
Obviously, the Stingray. I guess it probably depend on the docs and how much money
That's
I
true.
could
That's
sell
true,
them
yeah.
to Russia for. Obviously,
Right, or China, right?
Or China, yes. So I mean, if it comes down to getting foreign aid from foreign countries, enemy entities, then maybe I'd go for.
I mean, and it's not like Hunter Biden was having these massive parties, where
crack horror parties,
right,
with
where people who
prostitutes or
might want
anything
money
like that.
were coming in there to take a look at things.
Obviously, they had a visitor's log of everybody going in
absolutely,
and out,
yes.
and severe background checks to make sure anybody who would ever come in contact with those documents would have some kind of vetting process.
I'm sure
right?
there's plenty of DNA around.
Oh, gross. Yeah, that's the thing. We'll get into it. They're like, well, there's no visitor log of any way to prove who's been in that house and had access. It's like, just take a DNA swab.
Yeah,
I'm sure
exactly.
it's all
Yeah.
over the place, and you'll find all kinds of them.
Yeah.
Gross. Bill, you're disgusting.
I know.
So, if you don't know already, we are going to be talking about the Biden files, the top secret files and documents found at the Biden estates and offices. And I think they've come across 4 stashes of these within the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they came out back in November, before the midterms. And we're just now finding out about it now. You think that's
crazy.
a coincidence?
No, not at all.
Not
Not at all.
Wait, I mean, they had to take the proper protocols,
Of course,
obviously.
right,
So they
because-
couldn't have released it before.
Yeah. I'm sure,
midterms.
just like with Trump, right?
Oh, yeah. There's obviously been massive FBI raids on his homes and his offices
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
So we can count on all that to happen. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about, does it even fucking matter? Does it matter to us that they found these documents? We're going to talk about the implications, what if Hunter Biden did have access to these documents, or what if, I don't know, other things surrounding it, the weirdness of Hunter Biden's renting of this property.
Yeah.
Does this have anything to do with it, or is this? I don't know. There's a lot of shady stuff surrounding this. Or could it just be, hey, this is a fucking old man who doesn't know how to handle documents?
Or is it just protocol? I mean, does every president accidentally
Oops.
leave some top secret, in his garage. Be like, oh shit, I forgot I had
garage
those.
of all
right?
places. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, Trump's at least. I mean, they made it first sound like they were just sprawled across his residence, and he was like having sexual romps on top of them.
Right.
When in reality, they were in like a locked safe,
Yeah.
and there's Secret Service surrounding this property at all times.
Right.
So, but at least his was in a locked garage,
Yeah.
so we're good there, right?
Right.
So, obviously, we will get into the comparisons between the two, if there is any. We'll get into, like I said, the implications of it. Should anything come of this? Should he be impeached because of this? Should there be investigations? I don't know. Probably a big waste of government funding, in my opinion, anyway. But we're going to get into all that shit, talking about these Joe Biden files, secret files. So look forward to that conversation.
It'll be good.
Before we do, we got to obviously tell you to check us out all over the social medias, far and wide. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the handle @BreakTheBellPod. You can like, subscribe, share, all that fun, happy shit we tell you to do every single week. And some of you are doing it. Some of you are failing to do. I mean, we give you one simple assignment.
Right.
Like, subscribe. I guess 3 simple assignments. Like, share, subscribe. Those 3 things. And some of you are doing it, but there's a handful of you that are like, nah, we're not going to do this, and you're failing your assignment. So right now, while you're listening, you can go hit those buttons at the same time. So do that right now while you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, and then go to all the other platforms and do the same to make up for your laziness from the past.
Disappointment dad shake.
Yes, exactly. Like, subscribe, share. Come hang out with us. I like to hang out a lot on Twitter. That's where I like to get the spiciest, because it's more fun, because you get more interaction from people that hate you,
Nice.
because it's more public interaction than like
that does seem
Facebook.
fun.
But we do have a Facebook forum as well. If you like Facebook, if you're still old and like Facebook, we have a Facebook forum called the Breaking the Bell Forum. You can come hang out, talk shit with us, share your conspiracy theories or your hate of the government, and we will probably agree with you in most things, or we'll just tell you, be an asshole to you like we are on the show.
Exactly.
Like, we love you if we're being an asshole to you. Because if we
Exactly.
don't like you, we're not going to talk to you at
Exactly.
all. So
We'll just ignore you.
Yeah, if we're being an asshole, it's because we love you. It's out of the
That's true.
pureness of our heart. So come hang out with us on social media so we can be an asshole to you. That's the bottom line. You can find links to all our social media and all the things we do at www.breakthebellpod.com. You can find links to our web store, which is also found at breakthebell.bigcartel.com, where you can get access to our awesome merch, like our I Won't Eat Your Bugs t-shirt, our We Are Not Your Pawns shirt, because we don't want to be anybody's fucking pawns. So that's our statement there. We just make our political statements through catchy t-shirts.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no better way to take a political stand than wearing a lighthearted, catchy t-shirt.
Exactly.
Also, like, we got mugs and logos on t-shirts and shit like that. So check that out. Check the store out. Buy some shit for your friends and families. Support us. Help us help you by supporting us by buying our shit. That's all I got
fair
to say.
enough.
BreakTheBellPod.com. You can find links to all that stuff. I think that's about all we
think
got.
we've checked
for
all the
this.
boxes.
I think we've checked all the boxes. We're going to get right into this episode, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Joe Biden files. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
What did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. You talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
right, let's get right into this conversation. Talking about Joe Biden and classified files, not just any classification, but top secret classification files. But it was, just like less than 20, so it's not that big of a deal, right? Less than 20 that we found so far.
Right.
Because it seems like almost daily it's like, oh, more documents were found. It's like, okay, how many fucking places is he stashing these
Check
documents?
the trunk of the Corvette.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That'd be where I would hide them.
Yeah.
So what was your thoughts when you first saw I think it was like a week ago that they were like, hey, we found classified documents in Joe Biden's office or whatever. Former office.
My original thought was like, oh shit, is the FBI gonna go in? Like, I think that was like the question everybody was asking. Like, okay, are they gonna raid? I mean, obviously they got to treat them like they would Trump, right?
Obviously, yeah, that's exactly what they did. My initial thought was, oh great, here we go, because it's just like, obviously it seems just like a retaliation for what they did to Trump. It's like they could find one a corner of a document that happened to tear off and fall in the trash that had the classification stamp on it. They classified the documents, but that corner with the little stamp on it, and they'd be like, "Oh shit, it's there! It's there! You remember what you did to Donald Trump? Look, look, classified document right there. At least a piece of a classified."
Right.
I mean, and they would spin it in ways like, parts of a classified document were revealed. The part was just like the staple corner that they they tore the staple off so they could shred it.
Yeah. My favorite reaction though is like from The View, where they're like, "Well, the Republicans obviously planted those."
Well, obviously, I mean, how much do you have to show your ass of biasness when something like this happens and your first thought is, well, the Republicans did it, obviously they planted it? It's like, without a shred of any kind of knowledge of this, it's like, Republicans did it, clearly. It's just like, maybe you get a lot less flack and pushback if you just slow the fuck down.
Right.
First of all, you're supposed to be some sort of journalist or whatever.
Have some kind of integrity.
Yeah, just be like, hey, this thing happened, we're looking into it. And if every political situation, like scandal or whatever that arises, initially every reporter was like, this is a thing, we're looking into it, we have no further information.
Yeah. Just start with that.
Yeah.
Everybody would be like, okay, cool.
We're gonna sit on this for a couple. We're just letting you know, be aware this is out there. We're gonna sit on this a couple days. We're not gonna speculate, because God knows you're gonna speculate for us. So we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
We're just gonna sit here. But here's the facts we have.
Yeah.
We can come to our conclusions as this thing develops.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, they found classified docs. Well, obviously it was Republicans. Oh, okay, dumbass. Now you've lost. Well, you lost all your credibility a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember. Back in August when Mar-a-Lago was raided.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it's a lot
all
has
over
happened.
the place.
A lot of shit has happened since then.
Yeah.
But this thing did. It was an event that happened not even that 5-6 months ago.
Right.
Mar-a-Lago was raided back early August. I think it was August 8th. By the FBI. It was like a full-blown raid in search of classified documents that supposedly Trump had in his possession. And they did find some.
Right.
Did they ever release what those documents were?
No.
So I remember that there was like an FBI guy that came out and was like, oh, there's basically nothing there.
Yeah.
But people still made this big ordeal. People calling they're still calling for criminal charges on this.
Absolutely.
For obstruction of justice because they did request it back and he denied it, and that's why they went in and raided. When in reality, from what he says, they were in a discussion with the National Archives or whoever is responsible of, hey, how do we go about this? Which are we supposed to retain? Which are you? But they were kind of in a dialogue, according to Trump's side. I don't know how true that is. It could just be a bunch of bullshit from Trump.
And I had
too.
heard that from a couple different sources that the AG and him and his people were talking about handing him over.
But he was obstructing justice because he didn't just comply immediately. So obviously at the time he was trying to sell the information to Russia. You remember that?
Yes.
Like as soon as it came out.
Oh yeah.
That was like, what are the odds? Like, there's fairly good chance he was trying to sell information to like our enemies.
Yeah. Why else would he have those?
I don't know, because maybe he likes to have sex on them because he feels powerful. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe he wipes his ass with them because he's so pissed off at what happened.
That's probably
to him.
more likely.
Probably, yeah. Maybe he's rolling them up and smoking weed in them. He's like, fuck those assholes.
That would be impressive, actually.
It would be. But selling them to Russia is, to me, is the least likely scenario in that. I mean, of all things that could wind you up in a heap of shit, that as the former president, I mean, as insane as he was, I don't think he's quite that level of narcissism.
I was going to say he was a narcissist, but he wasn't a stupid narcissist.
I mean, he was a stupid narcissist, but he wasn't that stupid narcissist.
Yeah. And he was planning on running for president again, and that's an automatic deal breaker.
That's that as well. Like, even after he lost, he's been playing in the works the whole time. He's like, guys, I'm going to come back. Yeah. Just wait for it. I'm coming back. So as he's making those plans, he's selling classified information to Russia? Right. Yeah, I don't buy it. But would you believe it if I told you that just weeks later, like mere weeks out, like maybe 2 months later, his Joe Biden's lawyers found his own cache of secret documents, top secret documents.
I would not have believed that. Not with as much shit as Biden was talking.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like Biden was talking mad shit, and we'll get into that. I've got some video clips of him talking mad shit about the whole scenario. Yeah. And then he just happens to forget that, I probably was stashing some. Maybe you should have.
He probably did forget. I mean,
I'm sure.
In all likelihood, he's like, oh fuck, I've got those.
No, he probably was like, they're like, did you know you had these top secret documents? He's like, what's a top secret document?
Yeah, right.
Like. He probably still to this day doesn't know really what that means. So, but we'll get into all that. Let's start out with the discovery.
Okay.
The initial discovery. This is from Al Jazeera. This was posted on January 10th. So we're talking 6 days ago, almost a week ago. It says nearly 10 documents were found by the U.S. president's personal lawyers at Washington think tank in November. It says classified documents from Joe Biden's time. Here, let me pull this up. Why don't I have this pulled up? Here we go. Classified documents from Joe Biden's time as vice president were discovered in November by the U.S. president's personal lawyer at a Washington think tank, a White House lawyer said. Now, everything that pops up on Joe Biden, it always comes back to during his time as vice president, like the whole Hunter Biden stuff of where Hunter Biden was wheeling and dealing with China and Ukraine and all these foreign entities happened to be when Joe Biden was vice president. It's just like, what the fuck was this guy doing as vice president?
Right. Yeah,
because all this shit keeps popping up. During his time as vice president, he was a complete shitbag.
Yeah.
Or just a total dumbass.
I was going to say,
or
no,
both.
It sounded like, he had lots of side deals going on. He was making mad money just using Hunter to kind of shuffle things through, kind of get deals with the big guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are connections to the big guy and all of this stuff, Hunter and the big guy connection. So we will definitely get there. It says nearly 10 documents. How is there such a thing as nearly 10 documents?
I know, yeah. Well, like you said, maybe one was like just a corner.
Almost. Not quite, but almost 10 documents collectively were found at Biden's office at the Penn Biden Center. God, still don't have the screen up. There it is. Now we have a screen for you to see. At Biden's office at the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. That's quite the mouthful.
And it's global engagement.
CBS News reported on Monday, adding that U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland has asked the U.S. Attorney in Chicago to review the classified documents which were handed over to the National Archives. The classified material was identified by personal lawyers for Biden on November 2nd, days before the midterm elections. When are we reporting on this? Why are we waiting till now to report on this? Well, because we didn't find out about it till less than a week ago.
Yeah.
So
they covered it up quite nicely.
Yeah, very, very conveniently before the midterm elections. Oh, this thing pops up. That could have been a late October surprise.
Right.
Like a very late October surprise in November. But days before, could have potentially, I mean, he wasn't on the voting. He wasn't up for election or anything, but still, it could have had some sort of impact.
Absolutely.
Just like the Hunter Biden laptop that was covered up intentionally by the FBI and Twitter.
Yeah, almost identical timelines.
Yeah, except that was actually in October, but anyways, probably all connected in some way.
Right.
says the Penn Biden Center is named for Biden, who periodically used the office space from mid-2017 until the start of his 2020 presidential campaign.
You know, and it's funny because I thought that maybe it had something to do with Joe Biden, that they named it the Penn Biden Center.
It's not?
Well, no, but the way they explained that,
like,
I'm glad they explained that because
Penn
I would
Biden
have had no
Center,
idea.
Named after Biden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Biden happened to use the Biden Center.
Yes, it's ironic that happened like that.
The White House counsel's office notified the National Archives on the day of discovery of those documents. Sauber, his Sauber, whatever, I think it's his lawyer, Sauber also said the documents were not the subject of any previous request or inquiry by the National Archives. They had to point that out because this is how they separate it from Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump's, they were like, hey, give us that bitch. And he's like, no, bitch, I'm not going to give it to you. And that's why the FBI came in kicking and screaming. This one, they're like, no, we didn't even know it was missing.
Right.
So it's better because we didn't know about it.
Because it wasn't that important because we weren't even looking for it. But with Trump's, we were like looking for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. The documents were discovered when Biden's personal lawyers were packing files housed in a locked closet to prepare to vacate office space at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. Now, I know this sounds secure because it is a locked closet, but I don't know how many locked closets you can't just swipe a credit card in the lock and open them up. It doesn't say it was in a vault or in like a safe cabinet or even a locked filing. It was just locked in a closet that anybody could. I mean, who has access to that closet too? That's the next question.
Yeah, right. That and I mean, to me, that seems even a little bit more shady because it's not like he had accidentally left him on the corner of his kitchen counter or something, right? I mean, he knew he had them and he locked them in a closet, or somebody knew and locked them in the closet.
Right. So found him in a locked closet that Joe, the custodian, could have had keys to, most likely, and anybody could have had access to that has keys, like master keys in the school or whatever office building this is. It says he added the White House was cooperating with the Justice Department and the National Archives. The Justice Department, the National Archives, and the think tank, which is where the office was located, did not respond to a request for comment. Biden was vice president under then-President Barack Obama from 2009 to 2017. Sauber's statement did not mention the number of documents, what they contained, or their level of classification. So we're not gonna publicly announce how incriminating this is right up front. It's like, I mean, there was a handful of documents,
which
and
makes you think it's bad.
They were some level of classification, but he doesn't come right out and say, oh, by the way, there was 20 or 10 or whatever documents that we found, and 6 of them were top secret, very incriminating, very damning. Yeah. And if they got out into the public, who knows what would have happened. Says Representative Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat on the House of Representatives Oversight Committee, said in a statement that Biden's lawyers appear to have taken immediate and proper action. You know, they didn't take proper action because the proper action would have not to have left them there to begin with.
Yeah.
That would have been the proper action. So, they took proper precautions following. Like, if we did find these, this is what we should do. And they did those supposedly right away, immediately.
And obviously it was the proper because they didn't need the FBI to come in.
Yeah, right. Says the Justice Department is separately investigating former President Donald Trump's handling of blah, 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 blah. We'll get into the Trump stuff. But Trump did go on to say, when is the FBI going to raid the many homes of Joe Biden, perhaps even the White House? The FBI is going to raid the White House?
Yeah, right. Aren't they supposed to be at the White House?
I was going to say, I feel like he should know this.
Look what we found in the Oval Office.
When is the FBI going to kick down the doors of the White House? These documents were definitely not declassified. Trump said in a post on his Truth Social platform late on Monday. So, what do you think so far?
Well, I mean, so far, it seems like the shadiest thing is that nobody knew about it. for several months.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, well, we did turn him over, but we didn't allow the public to know. We didn't report this to the public right away because, I mean, that would have been really detrimental.
Right.
And we don't want to interfere with an impending investigation,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
like the the bullshit speech they give. It's like,
Yeah.
well, there was an ongoing thing. We were taking the proper precautions, and we didn't want information to leak out during it's like, well, where was all this precaution during the Trump raid?
Right.
Because as soon as his door got kicked in,
fuck yeah.
everybody knew about it.
Yeah, the whole news, every politician was talking about it. MSNBC, Rachel Maddow was like, well, he really should face charges. But for me, it's like, okay, they find these documents at his house, his personal lawyers.
Well, first right now we're at not even to the house. Right now we're at the Penn Biden.
Oh, that's
thing.
right, the Penn Biden.
That was
Got
the
it.
first,
Okay.
the first trove
Gotcha.
of about 10.
Gotcha,
About
okay.
not quite.
Yes,
but,
not quite 10,
but
close to
leading
10.
up to 10. Yes, lesser or equal to 10. What's that like?
Yeah.
Sign in math, that weird equal sign with
Yes.
like the swirly mark above it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going through these. They're like, well, he doesn't use this office anymore, so we need to go in and get all his stuff out. We're going to move him out. And then so they're going out, like digging out these closets, and they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's fuck. All right. I mean, we could just shred it. Nobody knows it's here. We could just shred it. But somebody's liable to talk,
Right.
so
Legally,
let's
because
turn
we
this
found
over.
it, we have to legally reach out to the AG, the Department of Justice, and
And
make sure
the
we handle
National
these well.
Archives and everybody, yeah.
Right.
But we're not going to tell the public.
Right. If the
Clearly.
National Archives is like, oh, let's see.
Fuck.
Oh shit. Yeah, I guess we are missing those. We didn't even know.
I mean, we don't know what we're missing.
Right. It's not like we pay attention to
Can
this
you
shit.
imagine working for the National Archives? I think that would be a shitty job.
It
That'd
would
be
be.
like a librarian, but
On coke.
that's like where librarians go to die.
Yeah, exactly.
And librarian jobs don't seem that flattering on their own. It's just like I'm responsible for cataloging every single piece of information that came out of the president's from Twitter posts to like his soup request to his strange cravings at like midnight on a Thursday night.
You remember that lady I had to deal with at the History Center over in Marion?
Oh,
okay.
yeah, she's yeah.
I mean, I constantly wanted to blow my brains out, so I can only imagine.
Right, and that's just dealing with small town history information. So, like I said, his lawyer didn't come right out and say what classification these documents were. But it has since come out, according to Newsmax, it has come out that some of those classified documents at the Penn Center were, in fact, marked top secret. So, that's not good. It's not looking real good for our buddy Joe.
Right.
Some of the classified docs found at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. were marked top secret, reports CBS News. Roughly 10 documents marked classified were recovered Friday from President Joe Biden's private office at the Penn Biden Center, and fewer than 10 documents marked classified were found in his residence in Wilmington. So that's getting into the second discovery, where they found him locked in the garage with his Corvette. Says, though none of them in Wilmington, Delaware, were marked top secret, according to the reports. So none were top secret at his home, but they were classified. But some in his office where the janitor Bob has keys to the closet were top secret. The Department of Justice is probing how the documents from Biden's years as vice president ended up at the think tank that bears his name and at his home. Biden's legal team said the documents were discovered November 2nd when Biden's personal attorneys were packing files housed in a locked closet to prepare to vacate office space at the Penn Biden Center. The documents were not the subject of any blah, blah, blah. We said all this. Yeah. Since the discovery, the president's personal attorneys have cooperated with the archives and the Department of Justice in a process to ensure that any Obama-Biden administration records are appropriately in the possession of the archives. Attorney General Merrick Garland, it just says Attorney General Merrick, on Thursday, named Robert K. Hur, former Trump-appointed U.S. attorney, as special counsel for the Biden probe.
So they had to throw that in there, that he was Trump-appointed.
Obviously. Now,
so they're basically, they want to make sure that they're like, hey, it's not like these documents were like needed for anything. So it's not like they pertain to like Fast and the Furious or any Benghazi or some shit like that.
Now we're gonna get into like how they handled this. I don't know if it's in an article and I missed it already, but at one point it's like, well, they were going through these files and they found one. And then they just stopped looking, and this comes when they found him in his home.
Oh, okay.
So this was it's like they found one top secret document, and then they just stopped looking in that area. And to me, that sounded shady, but apparently that's protocol. It's like, oh, that's top secret. Everybody stop, and we'll call the proper authorities.
They have to call like people to come in and like tape it off and like come in with
people
like, suits to handle it.
Well, probably the proper it has to be people with the proper security clearance to do it. So. That brings us to the Delaware home where they found since more because they found originally the one and then they've been looking and they found more. So we got a few articles to start and then we'll do more talking. So bear with the reading for a little bit. We gotta set the stage here. This is from NBCnews.com. It says more classified documents from the Obama administration were found in President Joe Biden's Delaware residence this week. In addition to the 2 batches that had been previously disclosed, the White House said Saturday. This brings the total number of batches of records found to 3. So another one was found in addition to the 2 that they already found, and basic math tells us that
3.
brings the total to 3.
And I feel like the count is laughing somewhere.
Yes. I'm glad they had
3 documents.
Yeah, I'm glad they had to do the math for us because there's a lot of readers that wouldn't have gotten that.
No,
so
not at all.
It says it brings the total to 3, a small number in a Washington office Biden used, another set in the garage of his residence, and 6 pages in a room adjacent to the garage.
Yep, that's 3.
Yeah, that would be 3. So there's some in the garage, which what the fuck are classified documents doing in our garage?
Right?
I understand the room adjacent to the garage. It could have been like a home office.
Right, yeah.
But was he out there like polishing his Corvette and reading through these? Maybe he's polishing it with the classified.
That's probably it.
The discoveries have trickled out over the past week, beginning on Monday, followed by acknowledgement on Thursday, and then the announcement on Saturday, stoking Biden critics and causing alarm among his allies that his office didn't have a handle on the problem. White House lawyer Richard Sauber uncovered the newest document Thursday in a box initially discovered by the president's personal lawyer on Wednesday. It says the personal attorneys discovered one document with a classified marking consisting of 1 page in a room adjacent to the garage. At that point, the president's personal attorneys stopped searching the immediate area where the document was found. First, to me, I read that, I'm just like, what the fuck is that? Are they like, don't look anymore because we might find more documents and we don't want this to be bigger? It's like, oh God, there's another. Stop looking in this area. Why don't you guys go look in the backyard or something? That's what it, to me, originally sounded like. But like I said, apparently their protocol is to halt it and call in the proper handling people.
People that have clearance so they can look at it and make, verify it is what it is.
Yes. So this guy, I think it was the president's, the Sauber guy, said that he reviewed the box further on Thursday, found 5 more documents with classification markings, and immediately transferred them to Justice Department officials. Because I have security clearance, I went to the Wilmington Thursday evening to facilitate providing the document the president's personal counsel found Wednesday to the Justice Department. While I was transferring it to the DOJ officials who accompanied me, 5 additional pages with classification markings were discovered among material with it for a total of 6 pages. He added the president's lawyers have acted immediately and voluntarily to provide the Penn Biden documents to the archives and the Wilmington documents to the DOJ. So again, separating themselves from Donald Trump. The White House said earlier this week Biden's attorneys found a small number of documents from his time as vice president in a locked closet at the Penn Center, which is what we already discussed. NBC News reported Wednesday that Biden aides had discovered an additional batch of classified records, which was confirmed by Garland Thursday when he announced the special counsel. We are confident that a thorough review will show these documents were inadvertently misplaced, and the president and his lawyers acted promptly upon discovery of this mistake. So, because we're confident that this was just inadvertently misplaced. Like we accidentally put these in the wrong spot. That's a valid excuse to misplace top secret documents,
absolutely.
right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So if I'm just like out driving in my presidential like convertible, flipping through my top secret documents, and like 3 pages just like fly out the freaking top that's down. Well, we're confident that I was inadvertently misplaced, so that's fine. It doesn't matter who's had any sort of access to this because we're confident that there was no no ill will, no intentional wrongdoing.
Because Biden wouldn't do that.
No,
not at all.
Again, we've talked about like if top secret documents go missing, like all hell breaks loose, things shut down, everybody is questioned.
Yeah. And
when it comes to like when I was in the military, if it came to like lower level personnel, it wasn't like, well, we're pretty sure that we're pretty confident that you just inadvertently misplaced these. Right. So you're off the hook.
Yeah.
Now that person probably loses a fucking security clearance. Yeah. I guarantee you he loses security clearance, has no contact with classified documentation forever after that.
Right. And nobody assumes that there's not been ill intent. Mm-hmm. There's always assumed ill intent.
Yeah, it's basically
it's a witch hunt.
Basically, everybody has seen this until it's proven that nobody has seen it. Right. When it comes to like low level peons, like the lower level military or lower level like presidential aides or whatever government officials, it's just like, well, until we can prove that nobody's seen it, we have to assume that everybody has seen it.
Right.
So, but in this case, it's like, well, we know he didn't. We're pretty confident, fairly confident that he didn't mean to leave these here. So we're good.
Yeah. We all know Joe.
What happens now? I've never even really considered this. What happens if you have to, retract a security clearance from the president of the United States?
Yeah.
Like, what happens? Like, is he allowed to? Can he still hold the office if he can't hold a security clearance?
That would be like if you have a service job and you get nailed with a OWI, right?
Yeah, and you can't drive anymore.
Sorry, you can't sit in on these meetings anymore.
Well, again, not to keep bringing it back to military examples, but it's government.
Yeah,
the way the government runs. Similarly, I think we talked a couple weeks ago when we were talking with Brandon Caserta and the FBI guy that bashed his wife's head against the freaking nightstand. I'm like, in the military, if you have some kind of assault charge, like spousal assault charge, you cannot possess a weapon. And if you can't possess a weapon, you can't be in the military. So you get kicked out because you can't possess a weapon. I'm pretty sure if you can't possess a security clearance as the president, you should not be allowed to hold that office.
Yeah. And I could see them wanting to appoint, maybe appoint some kind of handler or something for him, but at the same time, it's like,
if you can't trust the president,
right?
Because he's still got to go to those meetings where those documents are produced. Yeah, he's still got to go to the top secret meetings. You can't just send your aide to the meetings. He's got a freaking a special aide, high school special aide for the special ed kids. Yeah, going around with him. He's like, no, you sit here. I'll go to the meeting. He probably does.
He probably does.
In reality, he probably does. But I don't know.
Guy goes in with the tape recorder and tapes everything.
We're obviously kind of getting extreme in this,
but it's a valid question.
Yeah, it's like, how many of these do you find?
Right.
Where you then all of a sudden, how many inadvertent misplacements? Are you allowed as president before you're just like, we can't allow you to have access to top secret documents.
This is not an isolated event anymore.
No, they found 3.
This is a habit. This is a bad habit.
We're seeing a pattern here.
Yes.
This guy does not like to properly handle top secret documents.
Right. I mean, how many times has he gone out for ice cream and accidentally left a file sitting on the counter?
Right. Or used it as a napkin.
Right.
But they're fairly confident that it was just inadvertently misplaced, and they are cooperating with the DOJ. So it's cool, guys. Yeah. It's cool. I mean, it only goes back 5, 6, 8 years that they've been sitting in this unsecure location, multiple unsecure locations. But that's fine because they're cooperating now.
Yeah.
They're doing all the proper precautions. No. The proper precaution was to not do it in the first place.
Right.
It says Bob Bauer, Biden's personal attorney, said in a statement Saturday that his team has abided by the procedures already in place for handling classified documents. No, they haven't, because the procedures already in place for handling of classified documents is to not leave them in your garage. Those are procedures like listed. I mean, I feel like they're going to have to like put a subline in. Like, I didn't think we had to specify don't leave them in your Corvette, but now we know we better put that, we better add that line in.
Maybe don't take them home.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It says when a document with classified markings is discovered, the search must be suspended and materials left in place. It was found, he added. So that's why they stopped looking in that area. Supposedly. That it was not because they didn't want to find more. It's because that's the proper procedure.
Put them back in the closet and lock the door.
The president's personal attorneys have attempted to balance the importance of public transparency where appropriate with
Bullshit.
where appropriate now this wasn't where it's appropriate, so that's how that's their caveat.
Okay.
With the established norms and limitations necessary to protect the investigation's integrity.
Yeah.
Donald Trump Mar-a-Lago raid, can we say?
Yeah.
These considerations require avoiding the public release of detail relevant to the investigation while it is ongoing.
Wow.
Oh, good. So, there we are. We've got this here is now the third, and I just read right before we came on that I think there's a fourth discovery.
Yeah.
Like you said, a pattern.
Yeah.
A pattern of misconduct here.
Exactly. Like with Trump, it's like you said, they were locked away in a vault. He knew where they were. He didn't accidentally leave them there.
He had Secret Service at the location all the time because it's his public residence.
Yeah, exactly. So he most likely had them there when he was on vacation, locked them up, and left him there, and then he was no longer president, which he knew. He knew he was going. He thought he was going to be president for life. Mm-hmm. And then when that didn't happen, he's like, "Shit, I got these documents.
Be fine. I'm never going to have to give these documents up because I'm always going to be president forever."
Right.
Forever.
And so he's like, "Shit. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to have to give these back to you."
Do I got to give them all back?
Yeah.
Yes. You
I
got to
really
give
like
them all.
this one.
But what about this? This one's got the autograph of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This one says that I'm president.
President for life. It says right here. I got this one. Can I keep my Twitter posts? I would really like to keep my Twitter posts. No, you got to turn those over. Shit. So, yeah. So that's where we're at. Do you think possibly that the Republicans may have shot themselves in the foot with the Mar-a-Lago raid? Like how they're like, oh, guys, you're making such a big deal over nothing. This is not that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. The difference in classified material sounds like there was more damning stuff in Biden's situation than there was in Trump's situation. But I feel like maybe how they tried to sweep this under the rug and made it such an, like, the Democrats were making way too big of a fucking deal with this. So now when the Biden thing comes out, they can turn back around and be like, you guys said this wasn't that big of a fucking deal.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think the difference is the difference between, having the files and not giving them and negligence.
Right.
Because that's what Biden's case is. It's just pure negligence.
And which is worse, because they make it sound like the negligence part is not as bad as the just refusal, because that's the whole obstruction of justice part. Right. But in his case, it was just negligence. But what's worse, being a dumbass and not knowing how to handle it, or being like, no, I got this, I'm not letting go of it, but it's still in my possession. I already have seen it. It's not like
It's not like I'm
crime that I'm seeing it.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like maybe the negligence might be
I think
worse.
so too, especially as president, right?
But the Democrats will turn around and be like, cry hypocrisy, even though the Democrats are being big fucking hypocrites in the whole thing to begin with.
Yeah.
By saying, well, you guys all know the rules. We don't like to release the necessary details of the investigation till it's like, oh, okay. Okay.
Especially before an election.
Especially not right immediately before an election.
That would just be foolish.
That might, I don't know, be considered election meddling at that point. I don't know. So obviously, all the media is saying that there's a huge difference between Biden and Trump's situation.
They would say that.
Yeah. So you want to know what the key difference is?
I really do.
All right, because I thought they were going to come out with some crazy, like, whoa, this is so much worse because of whatever. There's a key difference between the classified docs found at a former Biden office and the ones Trump kept at Mar-a-Lago, national security expert says. So it first talks about the whole situation, all the things that we've talked about. So I'm just going to skip down because it says when Trump immediately jumped on the story, like we said, when is the FBI going to raid the homes of Biden? We talked about that. It says Bradley P. Moss, a national security lawyer, told Insider that this looked like a routine matter with no allegation of criminal wrongdoing. First of all, it might be routine for investigating a dumbass who misplaced classified information, but misplacing classified information is not a routine matter.
Right.
Well, at least it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be.
People end up in the brig for shit like that.
Yeah.
He contrasted what we know about the case with that being built against Trump, who held boxes of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago resort even after the return had been demanded by National Archives. Biden's team did exactly what you're supposed to do. When you find improperly stored classified documents, you immediately notify the government and turn it over immediately. That's a lot of immediatelys. Classified documents are routinely misplaced, and this looks like a routine investigation.
Routinely misplaced?
Okay, so that's how you know your government fucking sucks.
Right?
When the national security lawyer comes out and says, "Oh yeah, classified documents are routine. Like it's normal to misplace
all the fucking time."
Yeah, you have no idea. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, probably.
But maybe they shouldn't admit.
You know how many times I've gone to the White House and there's a set of top secret sitting on the freaking counter there?
Yeah, he walks in. He's like, "I don't see that thing sitting there." Routinely misplaced, and this looks to be a routine investigation. Perhaps motivated in part by a desire from the Justice Department to show that it's impartial. So that's part of what motivated them to do this routine investigation, because it probably is. They're like, shit, we can't not investigate this. We can't not assign a special counsel to this, because that might look like how biased we actually are.
They're probably like, why the fuck didn't you just grab the papers and put them on Biden's desk? Nobody would have known.
Or just throw them in the shredder. Nobody knew they were there anyway.
Right. It's not like we were even looking for them.
The nature of the investigation would change if the U.S. attorney in charge of reviewing the documents, John Lausch, a Trump appointee, uncovered any evidence that Biden or his staff misled the National Archives. The reason Donald Trump is in criminal jeopardy right now isn't because of the documents being improperly stored. It was the obstruction. That is why he has gotten to the point it has. That is why it has gotten to the point it has, where we're looking at the real possibility of criminal indictment. It says... then it goes back into the rest
But the only
of
reason I would think that would be obstruction is if they pertain to like an ongoing case.
Right. But
so like if it was something to do with like against Trump or something that has to do with like January 6th or something like that, and he took them and he hit them.
Well,
that would be obstruction.
Their case is that the National Archives, as they said, demanded these documents be turned over to the National Archives, and he said a big fat no, and so he's obstructing the actual process.
The National Archives.
The
but he was probably
process.
Thinking like, oh, well, they're just a bunch of fucking librarians. It's
not
like it's really
what are they going to do?
Right?
Well, they found out.
Right?
Found
they
out.
sent the FBI in.
Yes. So, and again, we're getting our side from like what Trump says. It's like, oh, I was in talks with them to turn them over.
Right.
We don't know that. We don't know.
Right.
He might have been like, fuck you, these are mine.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
Like,
could have.
I am the rightful president of these United States, and these are my documents, and this is the last shred of dignity I have. Right. You won't take my dignity.
He's like,
Q said that I'm going to be reinstated as president
this year.
Yeah, so it doesn't even make sense for me to take the time and the effort to turn him over to you, because Q said that I'm going to be reinstated. So I am the rightful president. So these are my documents. Yeah. That's probably more likely what happened.
That sounds more, yes. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm certainly not giving Trump a pass on this, but I don't think we can give freaking dumbass Joe Biden a break just because this is a routine misplacement of classified information.
Yeah, right.
Especially when some of them are labeled as top secret.
Yeah, you're the fucking president. There's nothing routine about that.
Even the vice president.
Yeah.
Like at the time it was vice president.
Yeah.
It's like you're still the second highest fucking person.
And I don't know if this is legit or not, because again, Trump said it and it's going to be a little skewed.
Mm-hmm.
But he had said that the files that Biden had were not even as a vice president, he was not supposed to have those.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know exactly what was in there.
Right.
I don't know why it was in there. I don't know what the vice president does or does not have access to, so I can't say that for a fact. And Trump could just be
right. Oh, absolutely. He could be blowing
shit like he always does. But, I mean, it's just kind of fishy to me.
It is.
The fact that it's just stashed in a garage.
Right.
Or just a locked closet. And
right.
I can almost understand the locked closet. I can almost understand the home office. Right. But then when it comes to the garage with his Corvette, it's like...
But again, you have 3-4 locations that they have now found classified documents on. I mean, again, to me that is alarming.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Again, if it was just the closet, it'd be like, oh well, shit, my bad. But yeah, 4 other places.
I think there's more evidence to show that his documents were strewn about willy-nilly than there was Donald Trump's, the way they played it off. Where they showed all the documents just spread across the floor because it was after they raided and just threw shit out.
And be like, see what he did?
So I told you I was going to play the responses from Biden.
Yeah.
So first I'm going to play the video of him talking about Donald Trump's raid. Okay. So we'll start there, and then we'll see if he has the same kind of attitude towards it over his investigation. Okay. So this is Joe Biden responding to the Mar-a-Lago raid.
That he declassified all these documents. Did he have just declassified them all?
Well, I just want to know I've declassified everything in the world. I'm president. I can do it all. Come on.
Come on, man.
I'm not going to comment on it because I don't know the detail. I don't even want to know. I'll let the Justice Department take care of that.
Coming up with a national security threat that you need to be briefed on.
Mr. President,
I think he looks lost.
He is.
Depending on the circumstance. For example, I have in my home a cabined off space that is completely secure. I'm taking home with me today today's PDD. It's locked. I have a person with me, military with me. I read it, I lock it back up, and give it to the military.
Without a specialized area in which you would declassify documents, is it ever appropriate for a president to bring classified documents home with them?
It depends on the document and it depends on how secure they're bringing it.
Okay.
What so like a garage with the Corvette, sir?
Yeah. So if you missed that, it was really hard to hear over the freaking helicopter. But if you missed that, they asked. Now, because he was just like, I've got a locked place, a secure place in my home, in my residence, which I'm guessing he was referring to the White House, obviously, because that's his residence at the time.
Residence.
But they're like, if there's ever a situation, now I'm glad they worded it this way, if there's ever a situation where you don't have the proper locked, secure place for it to go, is there ever a reason that you should bring classified information home? And his response is, well, it depends on the information, and it depends on how secure the place is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess he could work around it because it was locked in with his Corvette.
Right. Yeah.
Which let's look at that one. It'll take me a sec to pull that one up too. I thought I was on top of shit and had this all.
Then he says, "Well, I lock it up and then I hand it over to the military."
Yeah, I put it in his properly locked boxes and then hand it back to the military. So it's always. Like
he
secure.
knows where it all is.
It's always secure. So
always, and I would agree. I mean, it would depend on the documents. I would think to a point.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. But some of those found were top secret. So I'm guessing those are the documents.
Yeah, and we'll never know what those are.
Right. I'm guessing those are the depends on.
Yeah.
Those aren't included in that depends on the documents. Those are just usually a no-no.
Yeah.
So here's him talking when they're asking him about his own classified documents.
Classified material next to your Corvette. What were you thinking?
Let me, I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage. Okay, so it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
But anyway,
was in a locked garage.
yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I
Thank you
said
for
earlier
pointing
this
out
week-
twice that you have a and my Corvette is also in that same locked garage, and I care dearly more about my Corvette than I do your fucking classified documents. So that's his reasoning there. It's not like I was sitting on the street with my Corvette. No, it was locked in the garage. Again, so many more questions. It's like, why the fuck was it in the garage with your Corvette?
People know I take classified documents and classified material seriously.
Clearly.
I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
He's like, I read my script. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
No more questions.
I'm not permitted to say anything
funny
else.
he can't even answer with his own mouth.
I know.
Why the fuck were these in your garage? Well, as I said, first of all, the only thing he said on his own was, but it was with my Corvette.
Right.
But let me horribly read from, allegedly from this the script here. Like I said, we are fully cooperating with the Justice Department, and it's just like he can't even say anything. And then all of a sudden they're like, they have so many more questions.
Oh my
He's like,
gosh,
I've read my script.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm out.
More information will come out in the next week or so.
Oh, more information has come out.
Yeah.
And we are due for a break. I want to start getting into how dicey this kind of gets, more so than just, hey, he had left classified documents out. Because, like I said, who had access to all this shit?
Right.
One, like we mentioned in the pre-show, Hunter Biden had access to all this shit. And that raises so many concerns to me. And then I want to talk about, why is this coming out now? Why did they wait? Is there some sort of motivation for the Democrat Party to release this? Like you had speculated, we'll talk about this, that potentially maybe this is the Democrats' plan to push Biden out by 2024, so that he won't run again. Because I mean, he keeps saying he's going to. They keep saying, "Oh yeah, the president plans on running." But in the back of their heads, they're like, "God, fuck, do we got to do this again?" So maybe they're like, if we just leak some information out there, maybe he won't be able to run again, and then we don't have to break the news to him.
Yeah.
Joe, we don't want you to run. We don't want this at all. But we can just be like, Joe, I'm sorry, this is out of our hands. You can't run because you leaked classified information.
So what's going to happen next is Kamala's going to get all excited, but then they're going to find leaked documents in her garage.
Obviously, yes. She's like, I don't even have a garage.
Yeah, right.
They build a garage and put documents in it. We're going to take a quick break, 2 or 3 minutes to powder our noses and freshen up. And when we come back, we're going to talk kind of about the Hunter Biden connection and then all this other stuff that I just mentioned. So hang tight. Be back here in just a couple minutes, and we'll keep this shit going. We will be right back.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
We're back. Hopefully our signal is hanging in there because I keep getting notifications that our signal is shoddy.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun times with the internet connection. Talking about the Biden files. Yeah. Which aren't as cool as like the X-Files or anything like that, but maybe they are. Do you ever stop and think maybe these are like, what if there's like alien discoveries or something? Right. Or like the actual shooter of JFK, what if that's the kind of information that's in there and it's just sitting
that's
in
the type of shit I would take home.
Yeah, it's just sitting in while you're, I mean, yeah, I would stand there and like I fuck my Corvette while reading the JFK documents. Wouldn't you?
That seems like a very Biden thing to do.
I mean, wouldn't you though? It's like, all right, I gotta read this in the presence of my one true love, my Corvette. Maybe he's reading it to his Corvette.
It could
as
be
a bedtime story as he's putting it to bed.
Like, Jill, I need to go do some work.
You know, until they come out with what the information was in those documents, I'm just going to assume that it was alien discoveries and the JFK assassin. Yeah. Those are what he was hiding in his freaking garage,
right?
So
I like it. I'm down with that. So
guilty until proven innocent, in my opinion.
So I found this, it's an NPR article, it just came out yesterday, about history of classified documents, right?
Okay.
And so the reporter he's interviewing this guy, Connolly, who's like a professor of history and classified presidential documents.
Okay.
And so the reporter asked him, and so as a historian, not a politician, what strikes you when you analyze the cases of President Biden and former President Trump? The guy says, yeah, so a lot of the coverage has been about, whether they put our national security at risk. The short answer is going to be, we don't know, right? But to me, the real scandal here, and this goes back decades, this isn't about any particular administration. It's the fact that public officials are basically stealing our property when they refuse to or fail to return records to the National Archives. They're taking our history, right? And so in this particular case, it's a little bit like, if somebody moved out and they ended up taking some of your papers with them, and some of those papers could be really important.
Mm-hmm.
In the case
like
of
the deed to the house or something like that.
Right. In the case of President Trump, he claimed that they were his property and he had no right to them. And we have no right to them. And he's been fighting ever since, refusing to give it back, right? In the case of Biden, he's telling us it was a mistake. Now, that said, I'm a little troubled that one of the folders where they found these documents apparently was marked personal. It's far from personal. It's actually public property. It's yours and my property.
So it almost sounds like he intentionally stashed this shit away because you took the time,
right,
in that whatever intellect it takes to stick this in a file marked personal.
Right. So it's almost like he did the same thing as Trump did.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is mine, or I'm saving this for later. If I put it in this personal marked folder, nobody's going to look at it because it says personal. Exactly. So, it turns out that that's not true at all, though.
Right.
But, yeah, I get the point that they're making there, though. And either way, the fact is they made a big fucking deal. Like we saw in the video, he was kind of talking shit about Trump, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm president, I can do whatever I want, I can mark anything classified. He's like, I take security very, very literally, and it's just like it comes down to it. It's like, no, we found in multiple cases that you have not taken it very seriously, and we should be concerned about this because where else are we going to find? If we dug deeper, would we find more top secret information from? I mean, like you said, he's been in office for 50 years.
Right.
These are just documents from his 8-year stint as vice president.
Yeah.
what if we look back in all his? Are we gonna find?
Yeah, right.
Just like he used them for like paper mache with his daughter when he was doing like an art and craft project. I don't fucking know. He flipped it over and because he's too cheap to get more printer paper, so he's printing off like his grocery list on the back because he didn't want to. He didn't want to waste blank paper, so he's like, "Oh, I just reuse this," and just ran it through the printer.
And I seriously think that is the issue with Biden is, you know, him being president and then vice president and then senator for 50 years as a leading political class elite. He looks at this shit as this is his.
I can almost I'm not going to give Trump a pass, but Trump's not a politician.
Right.
He's not versed in all of he hasn't been around this shit.
Yeah.
For his entire life, like Biden has. Biden has known how to handle classified shit all his career.
Trump is a CEO. Those papers are his. Right. Whereas Biden, you know, again, I think he just looks at it as like, no, you know, I'm the bigwig. These are mine. I'm taking these, you know.
Right. And being a CEO, talk about corporations. Talk about like a major like corporation that has their own like company secrets.
Right.
If one of those company secrets was found just willy-nilly out for who knows how many years, what do you think's going to happen to the person that was responsible for that?
Right. They're getting fired.
He's fired on the spot. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't handle this information. We don't trust you. We don't know who that's gotten around to, whose eyeballs have seen this. Clearly, you can't handle this responsibility. You got to go.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know what we do in this situation with a president that can't handle his classified information. But talking about not knowing what eyeballs have seen it over the last 6 years, I've got this article from ABC News that talks about apparently after they handed it over, some people were insisting that they turn over visitor logs to his residence and the offices to see who possibly might have had access to it. And on one hand, it's just like, well, who keeps a visitor log of their fucking house?
Right, yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, well, who keeps top secret documents at their fucking house? I mean, maybe there should be a protocol about visitor logs at your house. I mean, that's still not an excuse. It's like, well, we don't have that information. Well, we kind of fucking need...
And you know, to be honest, I mean, and this is, you know, maybe, I don't know, naive or whatever, but as a public servant, shouldn't he keep records of who he's meeting with at all times?
One would think, but like he hasn't really lived at this house in a while.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know the whole how long he lived there, when he lived there last and shit. But we don't know who's been in that house at that time either. So this article says, after House Republicans demanded that the White House turn over a log of visitors from President Joe Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware, where classified documents have been discovered, the White House said Sunday that such a record does not exist. Consistent with past precedent of every president across decades of modern history, his personal residence is personal, a White House counsel's office spokesperson said in a statement. But upon taking office, President Biden restored the norm and tradition of keeping White House visitor logs, including publishing them regularly after the previous administration ended them. So Trump was like, I don't have to tell you who I have over in my home here at the White House. But Biden does keep a visitor log of the White House, even though he doesn't need to. It's just precedent. But there's no precedent of I don't know why they put those two words in the same sentence all the time.
Presidential president.
There's no presidential precedent to keep a log of your personal dominion, your personal private home. It says U.S. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi, what a name, told ABC News that they also do not maintain visitor logs of private residences, though the Secret Service does provide security screenings for visitors. Does that include when they're not home, though?
Right.
If they're not living there and they're renting it, I don't know, to your crackhead son, are they still providing security screenings of that of that residence?
You would think that they would.
I don't know. If I became president and I own this home and I was letting my son live here, I guess I don't know what to do. I mean, Secret Service wise, I mean,
I thought they protect like the family.
I don't know. Maybe they do. Does that include crackhead members though?
Well, I mean, probably.
Can you imagine being that Secret Service agent that was put on Hunter Biden's detail? Yeah. It's like, you don't know the stories I have to tell.
Yeah, right.
You think the laptop was bad? That laptop is G-rated compared to what I could tell you. Right. I'm waiting for that fucking book to come out.
Right.
The agency has access to the visitor logs of official government buildings such as the White House and Vice President's residence, Guglielmi said. Those visitor logs are kept by the National Archives. In a letter to the White House, Chief of Staff Ron Klain said Sunday, Representative James Comer of Kentucky, the new House Oversight Committee chairman, requested visitor logs at the Wilmington residence dating from Biden's inauguration to present with a deadline of January 30th. So he's like, you got 2 weeks, turn over the visitor logs. And they're like, joke's on you, we don't have them.
Right, yeah. And do you have visitor logs of your house, sir? Right.
Well, to kind of give them the benefit of a doubt, yes, there's probably a witch hunt kind of going on here. They're like, well, obviously he doesn't have these. We're going to demand these, and then we're going to cry obstruction of justice or whatever. But on the other hand, I know what they're doing. They're trying to establish, like, contact tracing. Right. They're trying to establish, like, who has had access to this, like tracing any contact that's been made, or potentially any eyeballs that have. It's just like with, I don't know, Ebola or something. When they start, they're just like, well, who have you been in contact with? Who have you? They're just trying to establish that contact
which,
tracing.
I mean, is valid. But
it
again,
is.
Who does that?
Right. It says the committee is also seeking all documents related to the search of Biden's home and other locations by Biden aides for classified documents. President Biden's mishandling of classified material raises the issue of whether he has jeopardized our national security, Comer wrote. Without a list of individuals who have visited his residence, the American people will never know who has had access to these highly sensitive documents. So, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know how to handle this, because I would think it would be bizarre to keep a visitor log.
Right.
And they're going, those visitor logs aren't accurate.
No.
Like every time they have, I don't know, Jeffrey Epstein into his home or some shady character like that, they're not marking that on the visitor log. It's
okay,
like,
Mr. Smith.
Had Bill Cosby in my home for...
Right, or could you imagine the
Pelosi
visitor log?
Oh, God. No, I don't want to. A lot of underwear-clad individuals.
Yes.
White House spokesman Ian Sams initially acknowledged the letter to ABC News, but did not directly say if the administration would comply. Well, how are they going to comply if that list does not exist?
Right.
Says
make something up.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has declined to substantively answer questions on the matter, referring nearly all inquiries on the classified documents to the White House counsel's office. She's probably just like, fuck, just ask them.
Yeah.
It's like, God, where'd Jen Psaki go? Why did I take this job? This
she
is
knew
bullshit.
This shit was coming.
She's like, this is bullshit. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but and again, the wild card is Hunter.
Yeah, well, yeah, like this says, without that list, we'll have no idea what individuals have had access to the residence, had access to these documents. Yeah. But we do know one specifically, one major crackhead known as Hunter Biden, the Hunter Biden connection. Because Hunter Biden apparently rented this home for an extensive period of time, for like 11 months or something like that, over the course of a couple of years.
And we know that he liked to entertain quite a bit.
He did like to entertain. He liked to snort Parmesan cheese off of the carpet. So, obviously, this guy was not really, didn't have a lot of judgment when it came to what was going on in his home. I'm sure he wasn't like checking off the crackheads at the door that came and went.
Or did he have too much awareness? Right? I mean, maybe this was part of the deal that he had with the big guy.
Maybe Hunter Biden's the one that left the documents there.
It's possible, right? Or maybe he left them there for Hunter so Hunter can share them with whatever business associates are coming over for the weekend.
You know what happened? Why it's out in the garage. Okay, so first of all, and I'm going to get into this New York Post article titled, Drug drug-addled Hunter Biden lived at Delaware home where classified docs were kept. So we're going to get into this. Yeah. But in this, it's going to say that Hunter Biden multiple times said that he owned this home. He put it on like credit applications and stuff like that, he owned this home. So not only you think that he stops at bragging about owning this $2 million home.
Right.
No, he doesn't stop there. He has his freaking entourage over, and he's like all bragging with them. He's like, hey, look what else I got access to. I got access to these classified documents. Look at this shit. I can do what I want. And come out here and check out my Corvette out here. And so he's like probably making out with his chick with the documents in hand, like being all like braggy that he is, and those just get thrown on the side, and he ends up like screwing this chick on the 60 whatever Stingray.
Right.
And that's how this all came to be.
Makes
we were
sense.
trying to figure out why they were in the garage, but that makes the most sense.
That makes sense. Hunter Biden kind of reminds me of that. You remember John Wick?
Yeah.
The Russian son.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
The one that thinks that he's hot shit and kills John Wick's dog.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which ended so greatly for him. So let's get into this article. Drug-addled Hunter Biden lived at the Delaware home where classified docs were kept. It says, disgraced first son, Hunter Biden lived off and on at the Delaware home where the classified documents from Joe Biden's time as VP were found last month. Not last month. They were found like 2.5 months ago, and we're just now hearing about it. Giving him unrestricted access to America's secrets while he was addicted to drugs, hammering out shady foreign business deals, and under federal investigation. The now 52-year-old began listing the Wilmington home as his address following his 2017 divorce from ex-wife Kathleen Buell, even falsely claiming he owned the property on a July 2018 background check form as part of a rental application. So he was applying to rent another property
while he owned this other house.
And put on there that he currently owns this property. That makes sense. Hunter also listed the home as the billing address for his personal credit card and Apple account in 2018 and 2019, respectively. Fox Digital reported Friday after reviewing emails from his abandoned laptop. During the same period, the now first son was in the grip of crack cocaine addiction, costing thousands of dollars. At one point in 2018, Hunter was recorded begging his sister-in-law turned lover, Hallie Biden. I forgot. He hooked up with his
sister-in-law.
It's his dead brother's sister. His dead brother's life. Yeah,
that's
you didn't
fucked
know
up.
That?
No.
Yeah, he hooked up with her.
Holy shit.
I mean, she already has the same last name, so it's just easy.
Yeah.
To let him use. So she begged him at the time to let him use her credit
points. How do they not
points.
have their own show? They give them the Kardashians a show, but not the Bidens?
I don't know. But at the time, he begged her to let him use her credit points to pay for his stay in rehab. Another girlfriend of Hunter's, Zoe Keston, testified to a federal grand jury in February last year that the couple stayed for a month in 2018 at the notorious Chateau Marmont Hotel in L.A. There, the younger Biden wrote in his 2021 memoir, he learned how to cook crack before being blacklisted from the property over complaints tied to his drug use. Hunter also frequented prostitutes during this time, dropping more than $30,000 on sex workers between November of 2018 and March of 2019 alone, making him a possible target for blackmail. Now, I don't know if you've seen the movies where you have a hooker in your home, she ends up stealing your wallet and car keys, and you wake up the next day with... Now, what happens when the hooker steals the classified documents and the keys to the Corvette? I mean, that seems like some potential for blackmail.
I'd be a little concerned.
On Thursday, President Biden confirmed that sensitive papers had been found in the locked garage of the home, where he also keeps his vintage 67 Corvette Stingray. Then it goes on to talk about all the stuff we've already talked about. So, we've got a crackhead who likes being entertained by hookers for hire, sex workers, whatever you call them.
At least.
Not saying that's necessarily... Yeah. I'm not going to... Whatever. To each their own.
Right.
To each their own.
Right,
but should we be concerned that this person is living in the dwelling where classified documents are found?
Yeah.
Yeah? You think? I mean, they were locked in a closet and they were locked in the garage, which wasn't on the street, by the way.
No.
So we're fine.
Yes. But if you were, say, like and maybe this is my imagination running wild, but if you were a foreign entity and you knew that there was a weak point to the vice president who had drug-fueled parties and hookers, wouldn't you maybe, I don't know,
exploit those?
A little bit, yes. I would think that would be an easy point of exploitation.
Maybe it's the foreign entities that got him hooked on crack to begin with. I mean, what a better way to get a susceptible lad to, like, into incriminating situations where you can possibly blackmail him. You get him hooked on crack cocaine. I mean, the government did it with black people in the 80s. True. Why wouldn't Russians do it, or Chinese people do it with Hunter Biden in the 2000s?
That's a good point.
Like, we're just going to take a play from their own book.
Yeah.
Get them hooked on crack cocaine. They'll do whatever we tell them to. So, now, it doesn't stop getting shady.
No, I can't imagine.
So, Hunter Biden's renting out this property, which this property is listed approximately $2 million. Houses in that general area average about $6,000 a month, which I feel is insanely high.
I would not pay that.
That's, I mean, this house looks
I could
nice.
not pay that.
Apparently, according to paperwork that Hunter Biden has filed, he was paying Joe Biden $50,000 a month to rent this house.
Must be a hell of a house.
Yeah. Now, a part of me and a part of other people, like specifically in this article, say he could have possibly met annually. He's just too stupid to read and just wrote $50,000.
Possibly.
But who puts monthly or rent in annual terms?
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, anytime you fill out any sort of credit check, if you're renting or whatever, and they're like, how much you pay for your home? You don't ever put it in annual terms. You put it in, like, well, $1,200, $1,500 a month, whatever. I've never put on an application, well, I pay this much annually.
Right.
But again, if something shady's going on and you're paying $50,000 a month, why would you put that on some sort of application or disclosure in the first place?
Right.
It's just like, well, he is kind of a dumbass.
Yes.
It's just like, man, you have no idea the expenses I pay. I rent this house for my dad, and he charges me $50,000 a month. It's like, holy fuck. Now, what we know about Hunter Biden is, like, the whole back to the big guy thing.
Yes.
Like how he promised in the emails, 20% to this guy and then 10% to the big guy.
Yeah.
How do you get that money to the big guy?
Yeah, I would say suspicious rental payments.
$50,000 from rent, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right?
I don't know. So, I mean,
was that $600,000 a year?
Is it? Yeah. Yeah, that math adds up to me. So this is from Zero Hedge. It says, why was Hunter Biden paying Joe Biden $50,000 a month to rent a house where classified documents were found? It says the now 52-year-old began listing the Wilmington home as his address in 2017 following his divorce from Kathleen Buell, even falsely claiming he owned the property on a background check, like we talked about. Of note, this is the same house where classified documents were found. Yet, upon closer inspection, Hunter listed the monthly rent as $49,910,000, or roughly $550,000 for the 11 months that he indicated he lived there. So he supposedly paid Joe Biden a quarter of what the property is worth in 11 months.
Right.
In 2018, Hunter claimed he owned the house where Joe Biden kept his classified documents alongside his Corvette in the garage. A Zillow search reveals that the most expensive home for rent in Wilmington, Delaware, is going for $6,000 a month. According to Town & Country magazine, Biden's home is worth around $2 million. Could Hunter, a crackhead, have accidentally listed the annual rent payment to his father for the house which contained classified documents? Sure, but why was his wealthy ex-VP dad charging him rent in the first place when Hunter was allegedly broke? Well, that's another question. Even $50,000 a year is insane for rent when you're a broke crackhead.
I rented a room from a friend's mom, not even own family, and she charged me $100 a month.
So that's $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
$1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year.
Right.
$6,000 a month, I guess, would be roughly probably $70,000 a year.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe I guess, but Again, why is this guy charging his son that much money? Yeah. I mean, he is a crackhead, so maybe he's like, no, you're on your own. We'll let you live in the house, but you got to pay me.
He knows his son's broke. Of course, he's not broke now because his paintings go for $350,000 a painting.
That's fair. Trending politics asked the quiet part out loud. Was this Hunter's way of funneling money to his father? Now, I haven't read all. I've read the parts about the big guy because it says... after his divorce, he was included in an email from his business partner, James Gillier, about a venture with Chinese state-funded energy company CEFC China Energy. The email stated that Hunter and his partners would receive 20% of the shares in the new business, with 10% going to his uncle James Biden and the other 10% being held by H for the big guy, or, as we presume, Joseph Robinette Biden. Goes on to say Tony Bobulinski... Man, there's some cool name. Bobulinski, another one of Hunter's former business partners, claimed that he had a meeting with Joe Biden regarding the CEFC venture in 2017, and that the president was the individual referred to as the big guy in Gillier's email. Again, Gillier himself confirmed that Joe Biden was the big guy mentioned in a message found on the laptop. So we're not speculating.
No.
They have come out and said later, no, the big guy was Joe Biden. Yeah. I was there. So it says, and as the New York Post reports, the following year, federal investigators began looking into whether Hunter and his business associates violated tax and money laundering laws during their dealings in China and other countries. Emails and other records related to the deals were found on the laptop, which Hunter dropped off at a Delaware repair shop in 2019 and never reclaimed. He's a dumbass.
Yeah.
I could see him leaving the papers out with Corvette because he dropped his laptop off at just some local
random
repair shop.
Right.
So here's a text or some kind of message that he sent to his daughter in January 2019.
Hunter has a daughter?
Yeah, probably the stripper. I think it's the stripper daughter, maybe. Really? I don't know. So Hunter told... This is... Okay, so this is what he sent. So everything you know about Hunter and the possibility of maybe him paying $50,000 a month, this is what he said to Naomi, his daughter, in 2019. I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half of your salary. So he tells his daughter, I hope someday you can make bank like I do and support this family for 30 years like I did in the last couple of years and work your ass off like I have to support this. But unlike the big guy, Pop, Daddy, or what did he call him? What did he call him? Pedo Pete. Remember?
Yeah.
Unlike Pedo Pete, I won't charge you half of my salary for it. So that bears more credence to the fact that Joe Biden is at least giving him 10%, maybe upwards of 50%. Well, because he's making the 20%, him and his colleagues.
Right.
And then he's having to give 10% to Biden.
Yeah, it sounds like, man, it makes Biden even more of an asshole.
Right? It's like, no, man, I got you. I got you these connections. And before you met me, I took you under my wing, you were a really bad dude.
Yeah.
And now you're making all this money, so you're going to give me 50% of it.
You're giving me half.
It goes on, of course Hunter paid his daddy $50,000 a month. Here's a text message Hunter sent his daughter in 2019 saying he gives Joe Biden half of his salary. This was found on Hunter's laptop. As the post continues, the laptop doesn't contain any direct evidence of such money transfers, but does show Hunter was routinely on the hook for household expenses, including repairs to the Wilmington home. So, I don't know what we know about Hunter Biden. Like, we speculated a lot about money laundering with his paintings, like you said. Would it be surprising? Like, is there any cap on monthly rent? Like, do they regulate how much you can charge for rent?
No.
Especially when it's your own son?
Exactly.
It's like, if this did show up on a report, I'm charging that bitch $50,000 a month. Have you seen his habits? He trashes the home every week with his crack parties.
But if it wasn't for this coming out now, who would have even looked into what his son pays him for rent?
Now, I did see a thing.
Not public record.
I did see a thing that when he did release his financial statements, he had said that for the year of, I think, 2018 or 17, one of the two, he had only received $20,000 for rent that year. And then in the following year, 2018 or 19, whatever, he hadn't received any. It was 18 because that's when this shit was supposedly being stored there, and Hunter was supposedly still. Well, that was when Hunter put on. In 2018 was when he was trying to rent another place, so maybe he wasn't receiving.
Or he didn't record it, so he didn't have to pay taxes on it.
Well, yeah, obviously, but his dumbass son puts it on a rental application.
Because he is his dumbass son.
He's like, well, shit, I pay $50,000 a month in rent.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can afford your house. And Joe Biden's over here. He's like, I only make $20,000 a year for rent payments. And this comes to light. It's just like, well, who's telling the truth here? It's like, why the fuck would you tell them that?
Right?
There was a reason you were paying me that. It was for the money laundering. Well, oh, shit. And we were saying it was rent payment, but you're not supposed to put that on writing.
I think those 87,000 new IRS agents have some place to start.
Yeah, it's not the people with $600 extra in their Venmo accounts.
Right.
Maybe they should start with the guy that's making $50,000 a month from
his own son.
His son in rent.
Jeez.
I don't know. Weird shit?
Yeah, a little bit.
So do you think it's a mistake that he's only paying $50,000 a year, or do you think he's actually paying $50,000 a month?
I think he's actually paying $50,000 a month.
Do you think it has anything to do with money laundering, or you think his dad's just that big of an asshole?
No. I think it has to do a lot with money laundering.
I don't know. Yeah,
But I mean, judging on that text from him, I mean, yeah, it sounds like Joe Biden's a huge asshole.
Right. I mean,
you're never gonna be like Bo, son.
Dude,
you should have been the one that died.
I was gonna say the wrong son died.
Yeah, right.
Bo wouldn't have put me through the shit.
Yeah.
It's a typical like
shit,
like
man.
freaking reality TV show going on here.
God bless, what an asshole.
So, I don't know. Is this connected to these classified documents?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think that's separate.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find. I had seen a thing that had said. Okay, right here. So, this says, this is from Assistant Secretary of State Robert Charles. He told Fox News, the biggest part of this is the nature of the documents. So I don't know how valid this is of what was in those documents, but this is what the Assistant Secretary of State is saying. We know in this case, unlike in Trump's, that these are potentially very incriminating documents. They relate to Ukraine.
Oh, shit.
What was the dealing between Biden and Hunter Biden? Ukraine dealings.
Right.
So maybe he does put some of these documents in possession with Hunter Biden. It's like, here, these guys, these people.
This is the shit that can nail us to the wall.
Yeah.
You watch over it.
Or this is the shit that can get us in with Ukraine,
Right.
like this information here. And maybe Hunter's the one, like I said, that stashed it there in the first place. And
Right.
Joe Biden never even put it there.
Right. Yeah. He had no idea.
Because it says they're related to Ukraine. The president's son was taking millions of dollars from Ukraine and from China. They're housed in a place that China helped to fund. This is going back to if it's the $50,000 coming from the big guy's money, then that money was coming from the China energy company. So this house alone is being funded by China. And these documents about Ukraine are in this closet with the Ukraine-China middleman.
That would be beautiful.
Right. It says there's some real questionable things here, and I guess the last big question that has to be answered is, did Hunter Biden, who is on the pay of Ukraine and China, we know this, did he have access to these documents? And if he did, why, and what does that mean? Well, I think it's safe to say if they're in the fucking garage,
right,
and he's renting this property.
Yeah, it's not like someone's going to stop him from going in the garage.
Yeah, Joe's like, whatever you do, just don't go in the garage.
Yeah, right.
Don't look at my Stingray.
Yeah.
And that's why he kept the documents in there.
Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to look at my Stingray, so nobody's going to see these top secret documents. But again, he took chicks out there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Out of spite.
Yeah, this is my Corvette.
Banged him on the hood of the Corvette.
Yeah, showing him top secret documents.
I don't know. I feel like there could be a big connection here, or it could just be mere coincidence that this crackhead happened to be in the same home.
Well, and again, chances are that Hunter was also doing business from this house, and again, entertaining potential business partners, right?
So, as the one article said, we will never know who's had access to these documents besides Hunter Biden. We know who all he's had access to, and we don't know some of the people he's had access to.
Right.
So, this could have been seen by tons of people. It could have been seen by nobody.
Yeah.
For all we know.
And again, I feel like like you said, they need to treat this like everybody's seen them.
Yeah, that's what. Do we leave it to the benefit of a doubt? Well, nobody's come forward and said that they've seen it, so until we prove that somebody else has seen it, we've got to assume that nobody else has seen it. No, that's not how classified documents work. It's just not. Now, moving forward, his own side is not really on the same script, because you have like his aides, like some of his aides are like, this is just a big misunderstanding. And then you got people like prominent Democrats that are like, no, investigate the bitch.
Right.
Like Ilhan Omar, who doesn't like him anyway because she's far
far
He's
too
left,
conservative.
is like super happy that they're investigating him. She's like, oh yeah, investigate the asshole.
Yeah.
Adam Schiff, one of the most prominent Democrats, is like, this is a big fucking deal. While all the White House lawyers are like, we got to assume that he just kind of forgot them there.
This is Joe. Come on.
Do you
He
expect
likes ice cream.
Yes. Now, Adam Schiff, one of the top Democrats, is like, this could be potentially a big fucking deal. We should be concerned about this. Because it says, this is from Insider, it says, Representative Adam Schiff, the former chairman of the House of Intelligence Committee, said that President Joe Biden may have imperiled national security by mishandling classified files before becoming president. He goes on to say, I don't think we can exclude the possibility without knowing more of the facts, when asked if Biden jeopardized national security. We have asked for an assessment in the intelligence community of the Mar-a-Lago documents. I think we ought to get that same assessment from the documents found in the think tank as well as the home of President Biden. So some of his cohorts are like, no, this is a big deal. We can't sweep this under the rug. And part of me is just like, well, they're just saying that so they don't look biased.
Right.
Like, well, obviously this is totally different. No, he has to say this is a security issue until it's not a security issue. But on the other hand, like you had mentioned, what if they're looking for a way to get this guy out?
Right.
They don't want him to run in 2024. Yeah. They want to pursue, like, they want to move in different directions.
Yeah, right.
Like,
that makes sense. That's a nice way to put it.
Yes. And they don't want that direction to include Joe Biden. Polite way of saying, it's not me, it's you.
Yes.
Or it's not you, it's me, I mean. We want different things. We're on different life paths.
But I wish you all the well.
I wish you all the well, yeah. They want to politely break up with Joe Biden without, like, making the phone call. It's like they're breaking up with him over text.
Right, yeah.
Or email or something like that. Yeah. But do you think that's a potential? Like,
oh, absolutely.
They're just like, like, do you think there's a chance that maybe they leaked this information? Like, let's just throw this out here to get him out.
And maybe that was it. Maybe they found it and they were all in agreement. Like, hey, we'll keep this hush hush. No one needs to know. And then all of a sudden it's out there.
Right.
Right. And they're like, fuck. And they're like, it's almost election time.
Now, there's a few scenarios I can think of why this came out when it did. Like, why they waited so long, or why it's now coming out in January, not back in November. Well, obviously, the midterms kind of affected that. Now, the first thing is that back in November, when the House flipped, the GOP vowed to investigate Biden and his family business dealings back in November. So they're like, once we're back in power, we're going to focus on this bitch. Yeah. And then January hits when they take power, and they're like, all right, we're going to focus on this shit. And one way or another, this shit comes out, whether it's his lawyers were like, oh, by the way, before you start digging, we just wanted to let you know we have this information. Or they started digging and they're like, wait, what's this right here? Internal, like, top secret documents being inspected by Merrick Garland? What is this shit? Why don't we know about this? And like, oh, we meant to tell you about this. And so maybe it's just the House doing what they promised to do and digging into
and that makes total sense. And they're trying to get ahead of it and release it and be like, but it's no big deal.
Yeah, it's not. Guys,
there's no ill intent.
And we were releasing it as we found it, so we're good. The other is, like you said, the other scenario is the Democrats maybe looking for a chance to oust Joe Biden. And you're not the only one to speculate on this. Joe Rogan is speculating that his own staff are trying to get rid of him. This says, Joe Rogan says Biden's aides are trying to get rid of him. It says Joe Rogan thinks Biden's aides want him out of the White House as a result of the recent classified document scandal. I don't think it's a result.
No.
Like they're like, well, because of this, we want him out.
Yeah.
No, it's we want him out. Let's put this information
right.
out there. That's what it seems like to me. It says during a recent episode of his popular podcast, the host speculated that members of Biden's team want him out of the office. He says, I don't know jack shit about politics, but if I had to guess, they're trying to get rid of him. If all of a sudden his own aides are sending these instead of taking these classified documents, which you have located, and go, well, let's not do that again, and locking them up somewhere, his own aides, that sounds sus or suspicious.
Right.
I don't know why Joe Rogan's saying sus. That's
right. He should not say sus.
So he's speculating that they want him gone. Mr. Schiff, Adam Schiff is like, this is really bad. Elon Omar's like, yeah, investigate the asshole.
Yeah.
Maybe they do want him gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be out of the question.
Yeah. But who would they push then at that point? I guess that's a different show. But the other thing I was thinking of as we were talking is there anything going on right now that they're maybe trying to distract?
That is a good question. We're distracted from it if there is. Because
Right,
we're talking about
exactly.
this. Now, on the other hand, this final article I got, is asking, was the Mar-a-Lago raid a Biden insurance policy? And this was what I had proposed. You proposed to me that maybe they're trying to get rid of Biden.
Yeah.
I proposed to you maybe the Mar-a-Lago raid was because they knew something was coming down with Biden's mishandling of documents, and they wanted to throw this at this big-ass raid at this big, over-dramatized situation on Donald Trump, so everybody can be like, why is this such a big fucking deal? And then when stuff starts coming out about Biden, they're like, well, you guys are the ones that said it wasn't a big fucking deal. Because, this article is saying, maybe, do you think possibly in his 50 years, if he's this lackadaisical about his handling of top secret information, maybe he does have a pattern of it, and they know about this pattern, and they know eventually this is going to come to light that this guy really, really sucks at handling top secret documents, and they know eventually the shit's going to hit the fan. So it's just like, man, this shit's going to come out, so let's get ahead of it with Donald Trump and just put all the attention spotlight on him, so the world can be like, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. They made a big ordeal over nothing.
Like, he's going to come out and be like, come on, man. Back in the 70s, we would do coke on these top secret and then tip a hooker with them.
I mean, that's what Hunter Biden is still doing. Because it says, in the end, it's probable that the Mar-a-Lago raid was just a preemptive exercise in damage control designed to make Car-a-Lago, fancy name for this.
That's horrible.
Car-a-Lago appear more innocuous than it really is. So to make it appear to not be that big of a deal because of the whole Mar-a-Lago thing. Was
and everybody already kind of said, no big deal, swept it under the rug.
Exactly. So I don't know. We got a couple of directions this is going. Because we have, this potentially could be the Republicans just in their bid to dig into the family and find whatever dirt they can. But the thing with that is that it wasn't Republicans that found the documents. It was his own personal lawyers.
Right, yeah.
But maybe they were trying to do it cleanly, and then the Republicans, when they started digging,
got wind of
it and blew it up.
Yeah.
But again, it's just weird to me that it was his own people that were like, hey, we found these here. On the other hand, we've got Democrats maybe trying to kick him out of office.
Right.
Or we have the option that maybe he's just a dumbass, and everybody's just like, guys, he's just a dumbass.
Well, I think that's probably part of it, but same thing with Trump. It's like they knew to use his own dumbassery against him.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah. They can play into. They know how to play into people's weaknesses, and Biden has so many weaknesses.
Right.
One being his dumbassery, the other being his stupid ass, crackhead son.
Right. Exactly. And all these shady business dealings he's got going through his son.
I have to think, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, I have to think it's not a coincidence that Hunter Biden happened to be renting the property, that happened to have top secret documents, that happened to be referring to Ukraine dealings or Ukraine information, and he happened to be paying $50,000 that happened to be probably coming from the 10% to the big guy.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's my conspiracy mind trying to connect all these dots, but I feel like that's a lot of coincidences all in one, wrapped up in one Wilmington, Delaware house.
Right. No, I agree. That
with a lot of crack
total
cocaine
sense.
and hookers.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I have to think that anywhere that Hunter goes, all the shit is going with him.
It's following him so hard.
Right. I mean, he is a walking like mob cautionary tale, right? I mean, he's the guy that gets 2 in the back of the head when they go fishing because he was blabbering to everybody at the strip club about what he just did.
He's like the mafia, the retarded like brother that they know that nobody, they want to try to include him in the business, but he's too stupid.
Yeah.
He's like you remember the movie Corky Romano?
Yeah.
He's fucking Corky Romano.
Yes, he is.
He's
Except for he does coke on purpose.
Yeah, he doesn't accidentally inhale a whole bag of coke. He does it intentionally.
Yes.
And Parmesan cheese at the same time.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
So you think this is a whole big oops, or you think we've uncovered something much bigger?
I think there's something much bigger for sure. Yeah.
Do you think it'll go anywhere? Do you think they will continue to dig and you think we're blowing the lid off this shit right now? Or do you think it's just going to go away?
No, I actually think because if the Republicans are really dead set on trying to do something, which I'm not sure if they are.
No, because then the potential of discovering the shady shit that they're doing is there.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem is they're never going to fully uncover the horrific shit that's going on the other side, because that'll expose the horrific shit that they're also probably taking some kind of part on. That's why the whole like pedogate type shit that we aren't allowed to talk about, and I'll probably get deleted for this. That's why that will never go anywhere, because it's not just a Democrat ran the Pizzagate where it's like the DNC is running like this pedo organization under this pizza place, because then we'll turn around and look, oh wait, over here we have these pedo rings going on with the Republicans as well. And I mean, that goes back to like Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. days. There was the boys' homes in, I think it was Nebraska, that was like supposedly trafficking kids to I mean, this way off topic. All this to say, if you look at the shit on the one side of the coin, you'll eventually flip the coin and look and find out there's shit on the other side. So they will never fully be like, let's dig into this and blow the shit out of the water, because then it'll be like, because there's probably some document there that has some Republican's name on it. It's just like, oh, what about this guy? And then everybody just...
Do you think that it would ever get to the point where Biden would throw Hunter under the bus?
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely. He's a fucking crackhead.
Right, yeah.
I feel like, it's just like, well, obviously, this was my son's fault. He's a crackhead. You know how crackheads are.
Does Hunter ever get Epsteined?
Hunter will most likely, quote-unquote, overdose at some point.
Yeah.
And just drift off into...
If he's that big of a liability.
Yeah, if he's a big liability, it'll be just like Breaking Bad. Anytime there's... did you ever watch all of Breaking Bad?
Mm-mm.
There's like... He was getting too close with this chick, and they were doing heroin together, and it was really hindering the operations and stuff. So the main guy, Walt, ends up like shooting her up while she's high on heroin, just like overdoses her on heroin and takes her out of the picture. So it looks like she just had a natural... I mean, she was already on heroin, so she just naturally faded away into existence. When it comes out that he actually pushed her over the edge, like shoved her over. So that's probably... If he becomes too much of a liability, he's just going to smoke too much crack and drift into...
What if Hunter was hiding those documents as leverage over his dad?
Over Pedo Pete?
Yeah, and then
maybe that's why Joe Biden wasn't getting any more rent in 2018, because he's like, look, bitch, I got this document,
right?
And I got your Corvette. I don't know.
I'll key this bitch.
I mean, he's got a key in his hand. It's a photo of him holding up a document and a key to the Corvette. And he's like, stop charging me $50,000 a month.
But in his crackhead idiocy, he forgot he had the documents, and the lawyers found them.
Probably.
Right?
I
mean, this could go any number of ways. When you have a family this fucked up as the Bidens.
Well, that's what they were saying. It's just like, because there's no evidence of who's had access to that, we have to assume anything is possible. And you know how our brains work. Anything is possible.
Literally.
Literally anything. Excuse me. This could go off the rails in so many directions, and it probably is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel that the Bidens are this like low key, like small town from Scranton, working man's man, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean, 50-year politician.
Do you remember the Time magazine article that came out after he was elected? How Biden is the most boring president ever, and that's a good thing.
Yep. Now, it keeps getting less and less boring the more time goes on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more digging into this. But I also think there needs to be more digging into, I mean, there's a lot of political crime families out there that is like the Bush family. I fucking hate the Bush family.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not impartial to just hating on the families, the crime families on the left.
No.
There's crime families on the right, and the Bush family is as bad, if not worse, as the Biden family.
Any politician that has been in office over 20 years and is a family thing is fucking crooked as shit.
What do they call it? A political dynasty?
Yeah.
Any political dynasty is fucking crooked. Well, going back to before the political dynasty, like the Bushes were involved in other shit, like just other shit.
Yeah.
Like much deep, like oil and shit like that. And just then you look at like the Kennedys.
Yeah.
They go back to like freaking alcohol.
Yeah, right.
During Prohibition days. Yeah, they made their fortune in selling illegal and racketeering. So, yeah, any family political dynasty has some kind of, I mean, they've made deals.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And Biden, I don't know if you could call Biden's family a political dynasty.
No, but, I mean, when
because
you look
he's the only one that's ever made it that
but
far.
But he's been in for 50-some years, and again, his, Hunter is crooked as shit, and he's making all these business deals with Ukraine and China and all these other third world countries. And
do you think Biden wants to be the next Kennedy family? Because, I mean, look at how it's played out. Like, Kennedy, what was JFK's dad? I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
but his oldest son was just slated to be the politician of the family.
Right.
And then he dies suddenly, and then they leave it in the hands of Jack.
Right.
And Jack actually becomes a successful. I mean, he's got his hookers and his blow too.
Yeah.
But he became like one of the most prominent presidents.
Yeah.
Most remembered presidents of this century.
Yep.
And then we've got Joe Biden, who's got a son that he's pushing to prominence, and that son just
fucks it up.
And
or
he's
actually, the one he was pushing got
he
killed.
Dies.
Yeah.
He died of like cancer, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I'm going to be the next Kennedy. I'm going to prop up. Yeah, he's got a little bit of drug and hooker problem, but he's going to be the next Jack Kennedy.
Right.
But it's Hunter Biden.
Right.
Do you think Hunter Biden will ever be the next Jack Kennedy?
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be the next political dynasty.
Yeah.
But you've got Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, no less.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how we got way off topic there, but like you were saying, there's no political dynasty that doesn't have their own bag of shit in their closet.
Right. Anybody who's been, again, any politician who's been in office for long, I mean, look at the Pelosi's. Their kids are deeply entrenched in the corporate world. Her spouse is, a big
inside
corporate
trading.
person. Yeah, I mean, all the inside training, all the connections they have. I mean, that's just, again, I think that's just common political class anymore, and it's really sad. Because, you're right. If anybody did any digging on any of the families, they'd find all kinds of shit.
Right. So, I don't know. Does this go anywhere, you think? Or
not far enough.
Not far enough. I think potentially it might lead to him not running for office.
Yeah,
and that
I can see that.
It'll end there.
Yeah.
It won't.
Right.
And if that was their goal, like I said, the Republicans aren't going to dig enough to blow the lid off this thing. They're going to dig enough to be like, well, Joe Biden's just not going to run.
Yeah.
Maybe he steps down. I don't even think.
And they would be fine with that. That would be their ultimate goal. Be like, okay, we're happy. We won't push this any further.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Kind of like with the Epstein shit. It's like once Jeffrey Epstein was gone, it's just like, well, let's just stop looking at this. There's no reason to continue to look because he's gone.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's out of the presidency. It's like, oh, there's no reason to keep pushing this agenda against him because we don't want to know what we'll dig up because It's probably going to go both ways, guys.
Instead of making major like class changes to be sure that something like Hunter never happens again, right? Where somebody's kid can sell their art for $350,000. They're not going to push that far because then they would all be out.
Did you ever stop and think that Joe Biden's the mastermind behind all this shit?
I think it's Jill.
Jill Biden. We don't ever talk about Joe Biden's brother. He's like the silent partner. I mean,
that's right.
10% was going to him.
That's right.
Maybe he's the mastermind behind. Makes 10% of the Chinese money. I don't know. I think he was kind of in with Hunter originally when they were getting in with, because we had. I think didn't we go through like a whole list of all his dealings?
Right. Who was getting the different percentages
and all these other countries that he was involved in. I think his name did pop up where he was part of the original. What got all that thing started? So
interesting.
He's probably the mastermind behind it.
He probably is. He's using
kind of
Hunter
like Jeb
as a patsy.
Bush. Kind of like Jeb Bush.
I don't know about that. That's stretching. Please clap.
That's all I've got for this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all speculation, obviously.
It is.
But you leave so much room for speculation.
Exactly. And there's plenty of dirt there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of shadiness. It can go to any direction.
Yeah. And at its smallest level, we've got a president who has a freaking pattern of misplacing classified documents.
And again, that's negligence. That's the same thing that they were in after Hillary with her freaking cell phones and shit.
And they didn't give a two shits about that either. They excused that as old age and stupidity.
Even though
as
Trump
well.
said he was going after her, she was going to be in prison, right?
Oh, yeah. How'd that work out for them?
Right.
So that's all the time I got. Let us know what you think about this. Should Joe Biden be investigated? Should he be impeached? Should he get criminal charges? Should he just get a slap on the wrist and continue to be bumbling Joe that he is?
Should he still get top secret clearance?
Yes. And if he can't get top secret clearance, should he still be allowed to hold the highest office in the land, which handles troves of classified information? What do you think about the Hunter Biden shit? Is he actually paying $50,000 a month for this Delaware residence that just happens to have classified documents locked up with a 67 Stingray? I don't know.
And should the Bidens get their own TV show?
The Bidens absolutely should get their own TV show. It'd be better than the Osbournes, to be honest.
Yes.
But with worse theme music, though.
And we still wouldn't be able to understand the guy.
That's true as well. Let us know what you think all over social media. You can find us all over the social medias at our handle at Break the Bell Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Leave a comment. The comment section is always open. We invite your commentary because
good or bad.
Yeah, we're dumbasses. We don't know. We don't know what we're talking about. We just talk until
Exactly.
we figure it out, which is usually we don't. No. We just continue to talk.
But we like you to figure it out.
That's why these episodes go so long, because we never figure out what we're talking about. Share this shit far and wide across the interwebs because more people need to hang out with us and maybe learn something, maybe not learn something, but just be as entertained as we are in ourselves. So share the shit, like, subscribe, all that happy shit we tell you to do every single week. Make sure you do that so we can become famous.
Sure.
Yeah. God, I lost my train of thought. Make sure you check out the rest of our shit that we got going on throughout the week. We've got the morning show, which is the Two Scoops morning show with me and my brother Dan Smots of the System Is Down podcast, which is some Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, whenever we feel like doing it. And that's at 7 a.m. Central Standard on my channel and on his channel, kind of alternating. So check them both out. You want all the information, you'll jump back and forth between both channels. Check out our weekend wrap-up, which we do typically live on Sunday nights around 6:37-ish Central Standard. Otherwise, be back here next Monday night, same time, same channel, for more ridiculous nonsense that really probably has no impact on your life whatsoever, but make sure you listen to it because it's always a good time.
Always.
We will catch you next week. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remso Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.